evening, everyone. I'm just going to wait. I'm hoping everybody can see me. Unfortunately, I'll just wait for a few more people. Good evening. I've had to leave the posh room, which has been set up with all the fancy lights and all the banners and everything else, because they seem to be having technical difficulties. So I've come back here into my office, which is where I normally live. To be perfectly honest with everybody, I'm far more comfortable here because I don't like the staged nonsense. I don't like all the questions coming up in a prompter. I'd rather you fire questions at me and I answer them honestly and on the spot without any preparation. That's the way I'd like to do it. That's the way I like to operate. And obviously I think you get more of a real response from me. I'm happy to stay on here for as long as you want, and I will answer all your questions, I promise you that. Now, I do have a big list of questions which have been sent in already. I've got them here, so I will do those as well, but obviously feel free to ask me anything you want. We're really, really proud of our school, and I want you to, get underneath the hood of the school, if you like. Remember, I'm doing school tours starting tomorrow, and I really want you to come in so I can show you around the school. I will do individual tours with myself. I'm starting tomorrow. They're starting to be taken up, but we've still got plenty left, so please do come. Oh, look out, here he comes. This is Mr. Morgan trying to do his little fancy backgrounds. Mr. Morgan, I'm fine without it. Okay, then. So what I will do is I'll go through the questions on my sheet first, okay, and then after that, please feel free to ask any questions. So the ones which have come in so far are as follows. Question 1 says, do you use Key Stage 2 SAT results to stream or set in Year 7? We don't. What we decided to do 2 years ago is that we went to a mixed ability setting in Year 7. Mr. Morgan, your arm is in the screen. Thank you. We went to a mixed ability setting. The reason for that is quite simple. Children come from different experiences in different primary schools. They've been hothoused. I know Year 6 is a terrible hothousing experience where, they push into the Key Stage 2 SAT, and I don't see why the Key Stage 2 SAT should then be the indicator of their performance all the way through school. It doesn't make sense. So what we do is we mix ability in the first year so that they can get, they can work with many, many different peers and get to know as many people as possible, make as many friends as possible. When we get to Year 8, then we soft set. What that means is we take the top 60 and we put those into the top 2 groups just to give them an extra push. When we get to Year 9, we then give the choice to the departments. They can do one of two things. They can keep a mixed ability, some do, such as PE, and then others, such as maths, where there's research that shows that children work better in sets in maths. They then separate them out. So we do a hybrid combination of both. Question 2 was how much homework is set in Term 1 and how often is it set throughout the year? It will depend. The homework, there's a balance between getting the right amount of homework and obviously not overburdening the children. We normally do half homework for Year 7 in the first half term, just so that they can settle into school, because there's a lot of things which have to happen within that first term. So we do set it. It's all set on a program called Show My Homework, and as I said, it's half homework in the first half term. Question here, will the teacher shout at me for being late if I get lost? Okay, so let's go fast forward a year from now when COVID has gone and the children are able to walk around the school freely, because they can't at the moment because of these pesky bubbles. They won't be shouted at if they get lost. They will be provided with maps at the school, and we have a policy within the school of meet and greet, which means on all the corridors you will find staff members. They're in every single corridor, so if any child is lost, then they will guide them to the correct and appropriate place, so no, they won't be shouted at. Next question, sir. What if I'm not with all my friends for some lessons? We look very carefully at the setting in the first instance to ensure that there's a good mix of children. So we don't put them all with their friends from primary schools, but what we do is we mix them all together so that they can make new friends quickly. It seems to work very well for us, which is something that we will continue to do into the future. So no, they won't be. What happens if they don't understand some of the work? It's inevitable our children coming into school won't understand some of the work. We're perfectly okay with that. We're not a scary bunch, and the teachers, especially Year 7 teachers, because they're specially selected, to be particularly empathetic. So when they're working with the children, they can support them. I've got my senior vice principals here as well. Now, obviously, in the hall we had plenty of room. We don't be here, so I'm just going to try to socially distance with my colleagues here, so they can come and answer some of the questions. So this is Miss Jeffrey, who's in charge of pastoral. You might need to see Miss Jeffrey, and Miss Feeney, who's in charge of the curriculum. So some of the questions, as I go through, will be answered by them. I hope that's okay. Okay, Mr. Next question, I'm going to pass this to Miss Feeney. So I'm just going to ask you, Miss Feeney, in science, do you get to do experiments and do you get to dissect a rat? Actually, can I ask that one, Miss? Can I answer that one?
As a scientist.
As a scientist and a biologist, I will answer that one closer, I think. You will not dissect rats because, unfortunately, CLAAPS, which is the organisation which oversees these things, now no longer allows you to dissect rats, I'm afraid. Sometimes in Year 6 form, you might do that, but you will be doing experiments, as many as is possible, because it's an important part of science. Okay, Miss Jeffries, a question for you. Is there a buddy or a mentoring system for the Year 7s?
Yeah, definitely. We have a number of older pupils who enjoy working with the youngster ones. So what we do, we'll look at the interests of the youngsters and then hook them up with one of the older pupils who'll be able to advise and guide and give them someone to talk to help them settle into school.
Okay, Miss Feeney, question for you. What trips do you go on and how many? Do you go abroad?
Yeah, there are absolutely loads of trips at Gabriel Hall, including going to New York, going skiing. There's something for every year group, and we encourage as many pupils as possible to participate. Normally in Year 7 we would have our trip to Stubbers or something similar, some outdoor education to get the children team building. But we have a huge booklet of all the extracurricular trips and visits that we send out to parents. That is definitely one of our strengths at Gabriel Hall.
We have a selection in the back.
Okay, question for you, Miss Feeney. Will I be with my friends in the same tutor group?
Well, what we do is we work closely with the primary schools to find out where pupils have friends. So we make sure that, of course, we can't put everybody together, but we make sure that in every tutor group that children that come from different schools will have somebody they know in their class.
Miss Jeffrey, what happens if you are late to school or a lesson?
Okay, so first of all, we advise you to give plenty of time in the mornings to make sure you get to school, but if there are unforeseen circumstances that mean you're going to be late, then if your parents can let us know in advance, we don't chase you for lateness. If there isn't a reason, we'll monitor how many times you've been late and for how long, and we'll top that up, and we might have to keep you behind for a certain period of time. If you're late to a lesson, again, if you've got an excuse for that or you're still finding your way around at the beginning of the year, we can give you a little bit of leeway. I think Mr. Evans has said before, we do have teachers on the doors to help guide you, and other pupils are very good at showing you where to go to your lessons and out to break in various different parts of the school.
Okay, so looking at the questions. Are there lots of clubs we can do? Yes, there are. Now, I'd best get this number right because the video you just watched, I mentioned the number, didn't I? I think I said 45 clubs. 45? I think that's the number we got. Yes, it is. 45. We have every sort of club you can possibly imagine. We even, this is progress for you, we even have an e-gaming club where apparently lots of children go and play on these online games after school because apparently you can earn money from it. So that's a new one on me. That's our newest club. But we have chess club, we have rugby, we have cricket, we have football, we have sports, we have well-being, we have
performing arts,
lots of performing arts, drama, Lego club. Yes, we have about 45 clubs. We are very, very well stocked with those. We do them before school, during lunch, and we do them after school, and sometimes on the weekends, residentials. We do Duke of Edinburgh, of course, and we do trips abroad. which are part of clubs as well. Obviously, COVID is really stymieing us at the moment in terms of what we can do, but no, certainly there's plenty of clubs. Okay, question for Miss Feeney. How do we stay organised?
Okay, so pupils have a planner with their timetable in, so they know where they're going and what they're doing every day. We promote the use of the essential equipment that they need, so pupils know what they have to bring to school. We also supply some of these materials in school as well, so if children run out, they can actually get some essential equipment in the library if they need to. But we do give them comprehensive lists of all the things that they need to help them stay organised.
Okay, Miss Jeffrey, question for you. How are bullying issues dealt with?
Okay, so there's obviously different forms of bullying. You would have done lots of stuff about that at primary school. But if you do have an incident of bullying, your first port of call will be your form tutor. So they'll be able to give you some advice and guidance and help you deal with that. We often look at whether it's a one-off incident or whether a repetitive thing. If it's a one-off incident, normally we do some mediation and if needs be, get the parents in to help and support with that. But if it is something that is happening regularly, obviously the head of year will keep a log of that, and we'll put a number of different interventions in place as to working with the bully to see what's gone wrong, what's happened, and of course there'll be sanctions linked into that. But there's normally an underlying issue that we'll try and dig into to find out what that is and deal with that within school.
Okay, a question for me. Who do I go to if I have a problem? We pride ourselves on being an open school. I would hope that any member of staff would help a child if there's a problem. Obviously they have a protocol, which is a form teacher. Many have mentors, and then we have the heads of year who are always available. Then of course we have SLT and our own offices, which are always open. You know, I quite often have children come and knock my door or just walk in and talk to me because they have an issue, and we encourage that. Miss Feeney, do you need lunch money every day?
So we have a cashless system. Okay, we use a system called Squid, so where the children can, with their fingerprint, purchase their lunch, and obviously parents put money on their Squid account, and then children don't need to cash each day. They are also welcome to bring a packed lunch.
Miss Jeffrey, what happens if the bus is late? Will I get into trouble?
Okay, so we have two school buses, the Keen bus, which your parents can kind of buy into as a service, so you can have a look online for the routes for that. If it is the local bus, you need to look very carefully at the timetable to make sure it's going to get here on time. If it's something that's regularly late, we'd advise you to get the earlier bus to make sure that you're here in good time for school. Again, if it's something that's to do with traffic or a particular issue on that day, we'll take that into consideration.
Will older students help us get around? Yes, the older students are particularly good at supporting the younger children. Sometimes they're assigned former mentors, as I said, or sometimes they're given a buddy, possibly in year 8 and year 9, to help them settle in. We also have an active student senior leadership team who are always around the school and always available to help any child. Ms. Feeney, how do students get detentions and why?
Okay, so detentions are, so occasionally students will get detention. They're often used as for an opportunity for a member of staff and a pupil to have a restorative conversation if something has gone wrong in the lesson. So, you know, if a child had been upset and didn't get on with their work, then detentions can be used to, you know, to get over what the reasons were why a pupil wasn't doing their work. Obviously, if pupil work output is not as it should be, so if we know that children are not getting on in the lessons, they may get a detention for that. These aren't necessarily commonplace, but it is the opportunity to have a conversation. So if a child is struggling, for example, and their behaviour is such in the lesson that it reflects that they're struggling, but they don't want to say anything in class, the detention is an opportunity to have a conversation with the teacher.
Thank you, Miss. Next question, sir. Is there a vegetarian option or healthy option available in the canteen, Miss Jeffrey?
Yeah, definitely. We always have a vegetarian option because we have a number of our both pupils and staff who are vegetarian and vegan as well. Regarding healthy options, we always have a healthy option. It's up to the pupils whether they choose that. The salad bar is very popular. We have paninis, pasta, various different choices, and we do a subsidy for fruit to make sure that that's a lot cheaper so people can access that.
We have gluten-free and dairy-free as well.
Unfortunately, children seem to love donuts and they buy those first. But we do have a range of foods on offer, yes. Question, can we use our bikes? Yes, you can use your bikes. One of the things that we have an issue with, though, is riding into the school. So we ask you to get off your bike before you come into the school and you push it in. This is for health and safety reasons because, of course, we have cars coming in, we have children coming in. So for everybody's safety, we ask you to get off and push. But yes, we have bike sheds where you can lock your bike up. And a lot of children do choose to come to school on their bikes. Ms. Feeney, how many will be in my class?
So in Year 7 there'll probably be about 30 people in the class. As you go through school, certainly by the time you get to Year 10, in some of your option subjects it might be considerably less, okay, but 30 is average.
Okay, Miss Jeffrey, how strict are the teachers?
Well, normally they are very strict and set very high expectations related to the Gable Way. So that is behaviour in class, needs to make sure there's no disruption of other people's learning. So we do pride ourselves on making sure that that is the case. But also, as Miss Feeney said before, about the quality of work that's being produced, that is up to standard as well. As the relationship develops with the pupils and the teachers within the classroom, you'll find that that perhaps changes the dynamic a little bit, meaning that they can relax a little bit and enjoy their learning once those expectations are set and met within the classroom.
Yeah, I just want to add a few things to that. I think, you hear in the press a lot of this nonsense about zero tolerance schools. You can't use the word zero tolerance and the word equality in the same sentence because, of course, zero tolerance implies that you treat everybody the same, regardless of their need. And as we know, every single child is different. And if you use our approach, it simply doesn't work. It doesn't work with children. Full stop. We take a restorative approach within the school. We try to develop relationships with every single child. We try to understand their background and understand what makes them tick. Because it's only through relationships with others that the children actually thrive. So that's what we're all about at Gable Hall School, is relationships. Are all year groups having lunch at the same time? Now that's a very good question because at the moment we have 6 lunches and they all come in separately in their own little areas. I think moving forward next year we are going to have some level of segregation. The reason being is because we find that it's not so much of a scrum at lunchtime and children seem a lot happier to come and sit with their friends and sit in smaller groups. So I believe moving forward we're going to have a staggered lunchtime and we will probably have at least 4 lunch times in 2 separate venues, so that the children can have more of a relaxing break than they currently did in the past. Ms. Feeney, will we see the head of Year 7 every day?
Yes, I think you will. Our heads of years are very visible and like to drop into classes when they're not teaching themselves. They get to know absolutely everybody in their year group and they will have a very positive relationship with their year group.
I think also we have WhatsApp groups, so the current Year 7, current Year 8 and so on have their own parent WhatsApp group and the heads of year are members of that. So what will happen is, of course, you can join that WhatsApp group so you can have up-to-date information constantly regarding your child and how they get on in school.
Yeah, they've got their own Facebook page in Year 7 as well. So, yeah.
How many teachers, Ms. Jeffrey, how many teachers will be on the playground during break and lunchtime?
It depends whereabouts you are, but there's normally 2 members of staff on each area of the playground. Obviously, the bigger the area, the more pupils, the more staff there will be, but there'll always be someone in wherever the area there is pupils, and we'll have a chat with you, see how your day's going, and give you the opportunity to speak to them if there's any issues or problems.
How long will my lesson be? Each lesson is 75 minutes. We have 4 lessons during the day. We tried 100 minutes, we tried 60 minutes, and we believe that the sweet spot that we found is 75 minutes. So it works quite nicely for us. It gives time for the children to reflect on their learning, they're being pushed to the next class, and yes, it's just about right. So 75 minutes and we have 4 lessons during the day. Okay, that's all the questions that have been sent in. So I'd invite you now, if you just want in the comments, actually post some questions, and then we will ask them live. I'm just going down them. I see I have some of my
Regulars.
my regulars who will tune in to see. Good evening, Miss Sargent. Good evening, Miss Snell. Miss Lacey, I would like some information on the provisions you have for the special educational children, please. Miss Jeffrey, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so if they are coming to secondary school with an EHCP already, then we have an experienced group of LSAs who can support them in whatever provision there is on the EHCP, so we can transfer that forward. If there is an ordinary SEN need, then again we'll have a look at that and see what provision we can put in place alongside that within the classroom, and any interventions that we need to be done outside of the classroom as well.
Okay, Miss Willis, how do we book a tour, please? Can I say, I think, you know, you can watch all the glossy promotional videos and all, you know, these virtual open evenings for all the different schools, and they're all going to say very much the same, how great the school is, and they're all going to look very nice and shiny. If I'm honest, as a parent myself, I really would want to have my boots within the school and have a walkabout, and not just on an open evening, because they always do the same experiments. You know, they dissect a heart, there's some coloured chemicals, etc., and they sing up in MFL and give out sweets. That's not a normal day, is it? We all know that. Please, please, please come into school and have a tour, because I'm really proud of the school. I'm really proud of the school, and I want you to see the school. I want you to see a school on a wet Tuesday morning. I want to see you, on a Friday afternoon when the kids are tired. Come and see the school. So to that end, please book a tour and send a link to your friends as well to book tours. I would be happy to tour you. I would tour you in large groups, but unfortunately, because of COVID, I can't have more than one family group together, because I don't want, that sort of spread. But Miss Willis, for the time being, if you could please email info@gaberhall.com and just put it head teacher's tour, and they will fit you in. Now, what we're going to do next week is we're going to try to do some clever things with Eventbrite. You know that you booked for that to come up to the school. We will see if we can get Eventbrite booking system working, so you'll be able to book online. Hopefully we can get that up and running next week. What I would also encourage you to do, every Friday I do a Friday Facebook Live. I would encourage you to tune into that as well. It's at about 3:30. If you can't see, you can always catch up a bit later in the day, because then I can update you. But please, 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 come and see me. I'm really looking forward to taking you around the school. If I am booked up, I'm going to ask these two wonderful ladies to stand in my stead, and maybe even Mr. Morgan if I'm desperate, who's head of Key Stage 3. So please do that. Okay. Thank you, Miss Sargent. How do we apply for a performance aptitude test? Miss Feely?
Is that the performing arts specialism?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So the application process is on our website. We normally have auditions. Normally in November. We'll have to check. I'll make sure there's something put on our Facebook page to clarify that, obviously with the COVID situation.
Okay. Jack. I love you too, Jack. Miss Hudson, can you still enter the back gate to arrive and leave the school? Yes, you can. You can leave there and go through the back gate. It's no problem. Is there an email I can use to communicate with my teacher if I don't understand any of the lessons, as I don't want to look stupid on nuisance in the class? Of course you're not going to look stupid on nuisance in the class when it all appears all understand it but me. There's a couple of ways you can communicate with the school. The first thing I would say to you is stay behind and speak to the teacher. All the teachers expect you to, and tell them if they don't understand it. You're not going to look stupid under any circumstances. Secondly, we use G Suite, Google Suite, which means all the lessons, every lesson that your child takes is uploaded. So you can go home and you can go through the lesson again, you can go through the PowerPoint, you can go through the worksheets, etc., and you can work in your own time. We have two emails that we use, info@gaberhall.com and pastoral@gaberhall.com. Info goes to the main office, and then that's sent to whatever teacher is required, and they will get back to you within 48 hours. Pastoral@gaberhall.com is for any pastoral issues, so if you did have a worry about bullying or misbehaviour or something like that, that will go to pastoral. They will get back to you within 3 hours. That's the timescale that we set ourselves. Ms. Bailey, is there a platform where parents can view homework, Glad you asked that one. It's a very good question. Do children need devices such as iPads or laptops? Okay, I'll do the second one first. They don't need any devices, iPads or laptops, and preferably not phones, because I know everybody's obsessed with phones these days. I hate them. Miss Feeney, do you want to answer about the platform with the homework, please?
So we have a platform called Show My Homework that we use at the moment. So all homework is set via Show My Homework, and at the moment we're encouraging online submissions, but normally, even if it's a classwork submission, it would be on there. We are gradually migrating to Google Suite, as Mr. Evans alluded to. So there will be a transition period, but the Google Suite offers a very similar platform to Show My Homework. But the children are used to looking there for their homework. They know how to submit it online, and teachers can actually use it to assess and record homework produced as well. So, yeah.
Okay, I don't seem to have any more questions, so I'm going to give it a couple of minutes, and I'm just going to talk about a few things about the school that you might not have asked. I'm just trying to think. We do something called DPR, which means that we assess your child on a dynamic day-to-day basis, which means that you can actually view your child's progress at any time from home, where you will have access to that information. In terms of other things that we do, we send home these. I'm just going to hold up. Here's one I prepared earlier. Can you see that? There we go. We send home parental snapshots. These go home to parents every 2 weeks for every single child in every single year group. They convey soft data, so things such as number of times late, attendance, achievement points, behaviour points, all the little things which, build up a picture of how the child is doing, because sometimes the grades don't come until November, but that's too late, and you really want to know what's happening from day one. And these soft metrics, if you like, really, really paint that picture for you, which means you and us can intervene as quickly as possible. So you will be getting that. As I said, in terms of communication, is one of the things we really, really try to do. Yes, I'm going to be doing head teacher tours for the next 2 weeks, but then head teacher tours go on all year. If you want to come, in November, in December, in January, you can come anytime you want, because the school is at the heart of the community, is part of the community, and we want the community to be here all the time. We have nothing to hide from anybody. We want you to come into the school. Obviously, COVID is a bit of a problem at the moment, but after that, please come to the school. Just going to see if I've got any more questions. I don't. Rob Summers. Hello, Rob. Thank you, Rob. I hope it's nice and sunny over in the USA. I think that's it for me then, because I don't seem to have any more questions. As I said, if you do have any more questions, I will happily come on tomorrow and answer those live, or I will get back to you personally, as will Miss Feeney, Miss Jeffrey, if you have any more. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and I wish you a very good evening. Take care.